Niner gang, what up? You're watching the 49ers Report by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Chase Sr. Today's show presented to you by our friends at Magic Spoon. You can get $5 off on the tastiest and healthiest cereal out there by plugging in that link at the bottom of your screen. It's magicspoon.com/49ers Report. Let's get into the latest 49ers news and rumors, and we kick off today's show with the latest evolving around Deshaun Watson. Are the 49ers going to get involved heading into the November 2nd NFL trade deadline? Let's get you caught up on the latest and kind of set the foundation with everything that's going on with Watson, because there is a lot going on with Deshaun Watson. According to multiple reports, a Deshaun Watson trade could go down prior to the November 2nd NFL trade deadline. Right now, there are two teams who are involved the most. That includes the Miami Dolphins as well as the Carolina Panthers. But here's the deal. A lot of teams have pressed pause on trading for Deshaun Watson or just taken themselves out of the sweepstakes because right now there are 22 active civil suits against him. We'll get into that further here coming up. Now, on the Rich Eisen show, host Rich Eisen, who does a bunch of great work with the NFL Network, had floated the idea of San Francisco getting involved with the Deshaun Watson trade rumors yesterday. Here's what he had to say about San Francisco maybe making a call to general manager Nick Caserio. How about this one, he said to his producer. The problem is San Francisco, they don't have any draft picks left because they moved up to take Trey Lance. I don't know what you give up if you're the 49ers. I don't know what you do to try and do this, but do you think the Texans would like Trey Lance? And do you think the Texans were looking at Trey Lance come draft time and they thought, what a great kid. We love him, as you should. If you give Nick Caserio the opportunity to sit there and you ask him, would you have taken Trey Lance if that was your pick at number 3? Would you have done it? Well, Nick, you can get him now. So Niner gang, your opportunity to hop on board, join the show, and sound off in the comment section. Would you trade for Deshaun Watson? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Get those votes in the comment section. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's YouTube video, so if you get hit with that ad break, scroll on down and get your votes in. Going back to the early portion of the NFL offseason, in NFL free agency, leading into the draft and after that, according to several reports out there, the Niners were previously in on Deshaun Watson, even though his legal situation was playing out before our eyes. And of course, that's a loaded topic. And Watson isn't the only quarterback and wasn't the only quarterback who San Francisco was making calls on. They were interested in Aaron Rodgers as that situation played out, as well as Matthew Stafford, who got traded to the division rival Los Angeles Rams, as they're off to a really good start. And they were also interested in Deshaun Watson at the time. But for me, I would press pause on these trade discussions because the legal situation makes this almost impossible. Is he going to go on the commissioner's exempt list? Once he gets traded to a team, if that happens, is the guy going to be able to play? We're talking about a premier quarterback when he's on the field, healthy, playing, not dealing with all of this extra baggage. You can make the argument he's a top 5 guy, maybe even a top 10 guy, if you want to lean that route. Last year, he was terrific. He completed 70% of his passes, almost 5,000 yards, an elite 33 touchdowns to only 7 interceptions, and his QBR was 70.5. Played in 2 national championship games at Clemson, has led the Texans to several playoff appearances. This guy is an excellent player. But of course, the legal situation makes this a very, very fascinating ordeal, and I can't wait to see how it all plays out. Is San Francisco going to be involved? Let's explore this a little bit. When you're running a business, this is what you have to do. And I love when businesses are aggressive. I love when franchises are aggressive as well. When you're running a business, you want to foster a good culture. You want to compile elite talent so that your business can make as much money as possible and be successful. You want to gain a competitive edge because at the end of the day, you want to take down your competitors and compete with the best. The goal is to compete and be elite. And when you're interviewing job candidates, when you're a franchise looking to acquire somebody in the NFL draft or via trade, you have to do your due diligence on these respective candidates. And I think that's what San Francisco should be doing. That's what every organization should be doing because quarterback is the most important position in sports. If you don't have a quality quarterback, you're in a murky situation. If you are in the depths of ineptitude in the National Football League and professional sports, you have absolutely no hope. Now, as I mentioned, today's show, it's brought to you by our friends at Magic Spoon. Per bowl and per serving, under 200 calories, 13 to 14 grams of protein, 0 grams of sugar, 4 grams of net carbs, and all of the flavors are fantastic. You can either get a variety of pack using that link, magicspoon.com/49ers report, which allows you to get $5 off. You can go with the fruity flavor. I personally really like peanut butter and cocoa in addition to fruity. There are a bunch of flavors from Magic Spoon that are guaranteed to rock your taste buds. And here's the deal, money back guarantee. So if you don't like those flavors, or cinnamon, frosted, blueberry, you can simply send Magic Spoon back. I like Magic Spoon because it's grain-free, gluten-free, loaded with protein and quality ingredients, and you can get $5 off right now by going to magicspoon.com/49ers report. We continue this discussion on Deshaun Watson because I love being aggressive. And if I were leading the franchise as Jed York, I would be aggressive. But I think this Deshaun Watson situation with the 22 civil suits against him is way too risky. Let's say you give up a bunch of draft capital or player capital, and you get Watson in, and then he doesn't play for you. And then he's suspended forever. You gave all of that up for nothing? You take a chance on a guy who's truly an elite talent at the quarterback position, but I have to be sure that he's going to be available for me and on the field. There's a chance that he's not. So with that, I'm passing on Deshaun Watson. Now, San Francisco does want to get involved in these trade discussions. They have a bunch of trade pieces who they can part ways with to attract the Houston Texans. Now, as Rich Eisen had mentioned, the Niners don't have a lot of draft pieces at their disposal right now because they gave a lot of them up to move up to number 3 to select Trey Lance. But they do have player capital to give up that Houston might like. You can send away Jimmy Garoppolo. You can send away Trey Lance. He's only 21 years old. Nick Bosa is arguably the best edge rushing talent in the league. He's off to a miraculous start this season, putting up huge numbers. He's only 24. So too is Fred Warner, who's under contract for the next several years after signing that contract extension, which makes him the second highest paid linebacker in the league behind Darius Leonard. George Kittle, while he's been injured the last 2 years, is also an elite tight end, and he's 28 years old. Lastly, you have Deebo Sameul, who's been one of the best wide receivers in the league. He's in his mid-20s. Brandon Aiyuk has fallen out of favor as of right now. He's only 23, and his rookie campaign last year was great. And Mike McGlinchey, while he's dealt with some struggles throughout his career, since being a top 10 pick by the Niners, he's only 26, and tackle, that position is one that is of importance, and there are a bunch of teams across the NFL who will take a chance on a guy with top 10 pick pedigree and some upside, and he's only 26 years old. So which trade package would you put together if you want to make a deal for Deshaun Watson? Get those trade packages in the comment section right now. I want to see what you come up with. I know the Niner gang is a very smart fan base. Let's see what you do. Now, with this game on Sunday against the Chicago Bears, which is really a must-win game at this point if the Niners have any hopes of getting into the playoffs, the quarterback situation that is actually firmly in place right now, outside of Deshaun Watson, Jimmy Garoppolo, and Trey Lance, it looks as though it's going to be Jimmy Garoppolo who is going to get the start on Sunday. That according to Kyle Shanahan, who basically said as long as that calf holds up coming off that calf contusion, Jimmy G is going to be our starter. Now, Trey Lance is expected to come back to practice this week after suffering that knee sprain in his first career start a couple weeks ago prior to the bye against the still undefeated Arizona Cardinals. But I just don't like this move by Kyle Shanahan because not only did Jimmy G play his worst game of the season on Sunday Night Football against the Indianapolis Colts, as we take a look at these numbers right here, I honestly think that even though Trey Lance might not be ready to play, and even though Jimmy Garoppolo is obviously the more tenured quarterback, I still think because of the dynamic ability that Trey Lance gives you, he is still the better option at quarterback and gives you a better chance to win because he's not limited and Jimmy Garoppolo clearly is limited. And you saw that full-blown on Sunday against the Colts. 16-27, a $181, a touchdown and 2 picks. I just hated what I saw from Jimmy G, and he has really been sliding down in a downward trajectory. I would love to further the development of Trey Lance and just get that underway right now. I still think you can win games with him if your goal is to make it into the playoffs, which obviously it is when you take a look at what Kyle Shanahan had said. In terms of deciding who's going at quarterback, Shanahan said yesterday, that has to do with Jimmy's health. Jimmy, I wanted to see how his calf was, and it's good today, so he'll be starting. Hopefully Trey will have a good enough week to where he can dress. If he can dress, there's a good chance I'll get him some plays in there. Look, it's time to start Trey Lance when he's ready. And even if he's not ready to go right now, I still think it can be a pretty dangerous offense if you rely on the ground game, which I think could be successful because when Trey Lance is on the field, he poses another threat to opposing defenses because you don't know what he's going to do if he's going to run it or throw it. Shanahan on Lance had this to say as we expand this conversation. We know Trey's the future here, and Trey's coming off a pretty big injury, so we're going to keep bringing him along and keep getting him prepared as good as he can to be ready to come in and help on the plays that we ask him to do. Always be ready to take over if Jimmy gets hurt, and be ready to be the future for us too. So Shanahan playing it vanilla, playing it pretty mundane. When I watched that game play out against the Colts, I saw a coach in Frank Reich who was confident in his quarterback in Carson Wentz, who remained aggressive with his play calling in some really shitty conditions. Whereas Kyle Shanahan, on the other hand, was scared to be aggressive with his play calling with Jimmy Garoppolo because he did not trust Jimmy to push the ball downfield, and that played out before our eyes. So what would you do, Niner gang? Who would you start on Sunday in this pivotal matchup against the Chicago Bears? Jimmy G, Trey Lance, type JG for Jimmy, TL for Trey Lance. Let me know in the comments section.